Welcome to my Days of Our Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Sarah receives a surprising lift in her hunt for Xander's mother, and Ava pulls a gun on Clyde at the sanitarium. Kayla admires Sarah's engagement ring. Sarah quips she'd have been happy with a tattoo ring, but Maggie would have killed her. She's not an addict. Kayla isn't, moreover, noting they re hard to get off. Sarah wonders why she'd want to get relief of her engagement ring tattoo. Xander strolls up, assuming Kayla thinks he'll screw it up again. Kayla apologizes, averring she hopes it works out this time. Xander vows he's learned his assignment. All that matters to him is being a good hubby and father. Kayla warily eyes him. Steve packs a duffel bag at home, which includes his gun. An anxious Chad comes over for an update, but Steve puts him off. Chad isn't leaving until he knows what's going on with Clyde. Steve fills him in on Montana. Chad calls for the DiMera spurt to take them there. Steve argues against it, but Chad's going with or without him. Succumbing, Steve heads out the door and runs into Kayla. At the cantina, Kate worries to Roman about how lonely Lucas is at the friary. Roman urges her to call him. When she does, she learns Lucas left with Harris. Kate and Roman conclude they've gone after Clyde with Ava. Kate swears if anything happens to her son, she'll take Harris and Ava out on her own. Further, Greg Vaughn teases Great Luker in the Montana motel room. Ava mocks a bound and gagged Goldman about her gluten-free chuck. Lucas says, luckily for them, her love for it led them right to her. Now, they need her to give up Clyde's position. When she refuses, Ava raises a gun, seeing no reason not to blow her down. Since he's trying to keep himself out of Statesville, Lucas gently takes the gun from her. Latterly, Ava finds Goldman's phone in her auto. Her textbook dispatches tip off Ava and Lucas to Clyde's position at a hutment. In an alley, Harris presses one of Clyde's dealers, Snake, for information. When Snake resists, Harris looks at his phone's position history and finds the hutment. Harris leaves Snake restrained in the alley. Further, Dick Van Dyke on days? At the sanitarium, Sarah cautiously tells Xander she wants to invite his mama to their marriage. Xander reiterates that he hasn't talked to her in times. Plus, she's a mean drunk unable to change. Sarah playfully reminds him about the alternate chances she's given him. Softening, Xander says indeed if he were open to it, he wouldn't know where to shoot the assignation. Sarah would be happy to track her down if Xander's okay with it. At home, Steve tells a furious Kayla what he and Chad are doing. Chad leaves for the airport to give them sequestration. Kayla wants Steve to let Harris and Ava handle effects, but Steve can't watch from the sidelines. Kayla wonders why he's the bone who always has to put his life on the line. Steve says that when he sees a trouble, he has to take action. It's who he is, and she used to love that about him. Further, 2 times of planning pays off for Allison Sweeney. Kayla loves how stalwart Steve is, and that he'll always make his family feel safe. But there have been times when he achieved the contrary, like when he abandoned them in Africa. She wouldn't lose him again. Steve explains he has to do this because Ava intends to kill Clyde. Kayla prodigies if he wants to stop her or help her. Steve is ashamed of it, but occasionally he doesn't want justice. Spooked, Kayla declares he needs to stay there with her. She's soliciting him. Steve agrees to stay, and she emotionally embraces him. Steve gets a textbook from Chad, who left without him. Text reads, subscribe to Detergent's Days of Our Lives newsletter. Get breaking news cautions, diurnal recaps, exclusive interviews, and spoilers transferred straight to your inbox. After Ava's changed into Goldman's clothes, she heads to the hutment. When Clyde approaches her from before, Ava turns with her gun raised. He warns she'll go to captivity for killing him, but she assures him this isn't her first rodeo. The gun's untraceable and, if she so desires, no bone will ever find his body. He tried to kill her son, and now she's going to kill him. End of story. Harris rushes up. What the hell are you doing? Further, Chad receives astounding news at the motel. Goldman remains bound and gagged, wearing the monk's mask. When Lucas gets a textbook from Kate, he notices all the missed dispatches from her. "This isn't going to be affable," he says, soughing. He calls Kate and lies that he's at the friary. Kate reveals she knows exactly what he's doing. He tells her they set up Clyde and that everything will be fine. At the sanitarium, Sarah muses to Xander that it'd be nice for Victoria to know her paternal grandmother. For their son's sake, Xander agrees to let her look for his mama. She asks for a good place to start. He suggests the original drunk tanks in London, the megacity of her last given position. He also gives her the last number he has for her. He doesn't suppose this is the stylish idea, but he appreciates the gesture. Still, if this turns out to be a disaster, he reserves the right to say, "I told you so." Jude's new DiMera name adds to Eric's desolation. Days of Our Lives suggest that EJ DiMera is over the moon that Jude is back with him and Nicole DiMera, and he's ready to start a fresh new chapter as a family. One major part of this all is potentially changing Jude's name. He mentioned it this week while having a converse with his little son and noted that Jude DiMera would just not cut presently. Changing the baby's name is accessible. Still, in doing so, how important heartache will this all cause for who has formerly been through so important? Days of Our Lives. Nicole DiMera is on board. DOL spoilers note that while Nicole might be reluctant to change Jude's name, she'll probably succumb to EJ's persuading. After all, he suffered allowing his son had passed, too. She'll reason that he deserves to give his son a name of his picking. The only issue is that this will just add swab to the crack for Eric. After all, Jude was the name he chose for the baby after he came home. He picked it, and Sloane Peterson Brady went on with it. She was hopeless to keep Eric happy. As Eric is a devout Christian, he picked the name Jude after St. Jude, the patron saint of lost causes. Chancing out that EJ and Nicole have decided to change his name will tear Eric's heart into further pieces. DOL, Nicole DiMera's talk with Eric. Brady days reveal that Nicole and Eric will have an emotional discussion. This could be about EJ's idea to change Jude's name. She may look to him for his blessing, and as Nicole's gone through so important heartache, losing 2 babies in the history before she allowed Jude had failed, he may agree that he's fully fine with the Jude name change. After all, Nicole and EJ no way got the occasion to name Jude because of what Sloane did. Still, on the inside, he'll be fully torn about the idea. The bigger question then's that if Jude's name is changed, how will Eric reply when he finds out he's actually the baby's natural father? The verity will ultimately come out. What will EJ and Nicole change Jude's name to? Leave your studies in the comments section. Don't miss a moment of the popular Cleaner on Peacock and visit CTS regularly for all the stylish Days of Our Lives updates, spoilers, and news. Clyde dies before he can reveal the truth about Abigail. Days of Our Lives spoilers tease that Clyde Weston's adversaries are closing in on him. While Harris Michaels and Lucas Horton are planning to shoot Clyde back to captivity for his numerous crimes, Ava Vitale and Chad DiMera have a darker fate in mind for the career miscreant and medicine dealer. Clyde is responsible for so important tragedy in Salem, including the murder of Chad's woman, Abigail DiMera. Days of Our Lives. Ava Vitale has her own plans for Clyde Weston. Ava, along with John Black and Steve Johnson, are forced to break Clyde out of captivity because he'd taken Trip Dalton and Wendy Shin hostage and hovered to kill them if they didn't set Clyde free. Days of Our Lives. Clyde dies before he can reveal the truth about Abigail. Ava knows that all 3 men will go to captivity if Clyde reveals their conduct, so her plan is to make sure Clyde doesn't live long enough to return to captivity and shoot the 3 of them there on with him.